Introductions from the team here.
Sorry, I
It's
was
okay.
trying to time it right between you into
All right.
that next one.
Some introductions from us here, the team with the community of practice. My name is David Logsden. I'm a co-facilitator and a board member of the KEE. I'm an environmental educator with Pathfinders of Perry County in Hazard, Kentucky, and I'll let our other two introduce themselves.
Yeah, I am Brittany Wright. I'm the Deputy Director for KAEE. I've been here since 2016 and a co-facilitator of this community practice since it started in 2022, I guess, the fall of that. So excited to be here with you all today and have Naomi with us. So, Roberta?
Hi, everyone. I'm Roberta Burns. I am also been here as co-facilitator since the beginning and a former board member of KAEE and work for the state doing environmental education about air quality, and very happy to see so many folks joining us today. Thank you.
Wonderful. So now we would also like to acknowledge the lands on which we reside and we were meeting. Most of us in Kentucky are on ancestral and unceded territories of the Yuchi, Osage, Shawnee, and Cherokee peoples. We invite you to learn more about the original stewards and caretakers of the land that you call home through the resource Native Land Digital. And the link will be in the chat, and that is nativeland.ca. And our agenda for our meeting today, we are going to discuss our vision, the learning pathways that we employ and utilize, and we will have a guest speaker with discussion to follow, and we will close out with our next steps.
So this group, this community of practice has been around now for 3 years plus. And our vision is that we are a learning community. We are constantly learning and working to foster and support practices of racial justice, equity, inclusion, and diversity in the outdoors and in our environmental work. We're doing this, our goals or our learning pathways are to increase our vocabulary around diversity and intercultural awareness and belonging concepts. We are striving to engage across human difference. So I know sometimes we feel like we're all on the same page, but we do have a lot of differences, and we honor those and value agreeing and disagreeing about diversity's promise in our century workspaces. And we embrace our overall racial diversity and belonging journey. It is a journey, and it's inherent in the mission of community of practice ideals and overall visioning.
Awesome. Thanks, Roberta. All right, well, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. We have Naomi Heindel. Naomi became North Branch Nature Center's second ever executive director in March of 2022. She joined the North Branch Nature Center after 7 years at Teton Science Schools in Wyoming, where she was most recently the head of field education there. She grew up in North Ferrisburg and attended the Lake Champlain Waldorf School and Vermont Commons School. She earned her bachelor's degree from Dartmouth College and her master's degree from the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. She has lived, worked, and taught in Yosemite and Grand Teton National Parks and has led wilderness trips throughout New England, northern New England, and northeastern Canada. And basically, I want to be Naomi when I grow up. I mean, this is incredible, all the things that she's done and seen. And so I'm really excited to learn from her today. And I just want to welcome you again, Naomi, and I will hand it over to you in your slides.
Great. Thank you so much, Brittany, and all of you for inviting me. And I have to give a shout out to Carolyn Waters, who I think is on this call, that originally made the connection. So excited to be presenting to you from chilly, blustery Vermont today. I'm Naomi, she, her pronouns, executive director at North Branch Nature Center. We're based in Montpelier, Vermont. And actually it looks very much today like it does on this first slide. We've got a little bit more fall foliage, but still hanging on, but we're definitely entering late fall here, and you can get a little glimpse of what our nature center looks like. So I'm really excited to join you all today and to chat a little bit about this new program area that we have, North Branch Nature Center's Visiting Teacher-Naturalist, and to share sort of a little bit of how it works and the successes and challenges of it. So that's where we'll go, and I'm excited to see this as a pretty small group, so I hope we can have some good discussion at the end of this. Okay, Brittany, you can move us forward to the next slide. I want to just introduce North Branch Nature Center a little bit. Our mission is connecting people with the natural world, and we do that in a variety of ways, different programs, some of which you can see on here. We have summer camps and youth programs throughout the year. We run a full-time forest preschool that's licensed by the state. So we've got 3 to 5-year-olds here all the time. And we do a lot of adult and family natural history programs, community science, ecological stewardship here on this bend of the North Branch of the Winooski River, where we steward 28 acres of trails and field and forest. And we're really lucky in that we are connected to we're part of about 1,000 acres of conserved land, much of which is conserved by the city of Montpelier. So it's a gem of a little spot, and I'm really proud of the work that we do here. I think you can go to the next slide, Brittany. I want to move us right into this idea of expanding what we do and expanding who we are. This idea of expanding community has been central to North Branch Nature Center's strategic goals really since 2019. And the statement here, North Branch Nature Center is committed to building a strong community around the natural world and closing the nature equity gap has been something that we've really focused on, making sure that we are not just a nature center for the few who have the means to access this kind of nature connection, but that we are the backyard, the third place, the safe place for our whole community. And so we've been looking a lot into what that looks like, who has been traditionally excluded from nature programming, from environmental education, from science, from wilderness settings, and who can we welcome into this space, and how do we need to change in order to do that, to close that nature equity gap, which is the idea that, not all of us experience equal access to the benefits of connection to the natural world. So this Visiting Teacher-Naturalist program fits squarely within this this goal and this idea, and thus feels really, really integral to our mission of connecting people to the natural world. That idea of who are we connecting? Who are those people? How can we expand that community of people? Brittany, you can go to the next slide. So briefly, the Visiting Teacher-Naturalist program is now in its 3rd iteration. I guess 2nd or 3rd year. We did 2 for a year and then took a little break, and now we're doing another one again. And the idea behind this program is to spotlight the expertise, knowledge, and skills of BIPOC, LGBTQ, rural, immigrant, disabled experts in nature connection, to find experts who can represent identities missing from our current staff, and thus broaden the perspectives shared with the North Branch community. We noticed that the folks that we hold up as experts, as teachers, as guides, as instructors of our programs, is a narrow slice of what those experts can actually look like and what knowledge and skills that can actually be brought to our community. So as we work to diversify our staff and board, that's a slow process. This felt like a great way to infuse some of that expertise and broader community along the way. So we've been really lucky to have grant funding to support this, and this this has been run, oh, not quite yet, but that's okay. This has been run by a really central position here at the Nature Center, which is a community engagement coordinator. So this program really came about because we had the capacity in this position to bring this to fruition. So there's a community engagement coordinator who leads this program. There's a selection committee and a selection process that selects these visiting teacher naturalists, puts out an appeal, and then selects them. And then we have had 3 folks, or we have had 2, and we were about to have a third folks come for a week in which the visiting teacher naturalist is embedded in North Branch Nature Center programming, bringing their areas of expertise to us. So I'll go through the 2 that we have had to give you a sense of what that looks like. So now you can go forward, Brittany. Thank you. So the first visiting teacher naturalist we had was a couple springs ago. Noelani Jones is a nature weaving and eco printing artist who uses natural materials from the landscape to create absolutely beautiful, innovative art projects and installations. And so they joined us for a week, and they engaged in a lot of different programming. So in the upper left here with these little kids, this is our forest preschool. So you can see that they entered into a regular day of forest preschool programming, and they brought in a weaving program. In the upper right, this was just an open drop-in studio. So we had a chance to just welcome the public to Noelani's studio, and people could sort of drift through and get a sense of what this project was about. And then Noelani also offered some very specific eco-printing workshops. So in the bottom left, you can see, a small group, maybe 12, that registered for a program that we were able to hold specifically because Noelani was here, and they were able to do some eco-printing and dyeing with them. And then in the bottom right, that's our after-school program. So again, a regular program that happens every week. And this particular week, Noelani was here embedded in that program and able to bring their weaving and their eco-printing to those students. So I think that gives you a little bit of a sense. This was our first. It was a really successful program, and really neat to be able to see sort of the North Branch Nature Center landscape come to life in these weaving and eco-printing projects. One thing that I feel like is really successful about this one is that our staff have learned some of these techniques and brought them into future programming, which is neat. Go ahead, Brittany. Our next visiting teacher naturalist was last winter. Dr. Opeyemi Parham is a local retired family practice doctor, currently focused on healing and wellness through nature. And so she was embedded for a week here at the Nature Center, really focused on the intersection of wellness and well-being and health and the natural world. And she led small workshops, some of them around gender affinity spaces. She was also brought some of her work into forest preschool and did some public workshops. So again, sort of embedding into the programs that we already offer and expanding out the diversity of experts that we are bringing to the North Branch community. If you want to go to the next slide, Brittany, I don't know if some of you remember that originally this talk was going to be in August, and then thankfully folks were able to reschedule to accommodate my schedule to do it now. And because of that, I get to share who our third visiting teacher naturalist is. Justin Cifello is an artist from New England who does makes sculptures, huge sculptures with invasive plants. And so he will be here in just a couple weeks in early November to build us a couple really big sculptures made out of invasive plants. So he'll be here for a whole week, and we'll be doing invasive plant walks and talks to understand, what are the invasive plants in Vermont and why is this an issue, to gather the materials, and then to build first the big structure and then start filling in the smaller structure of a invasive plant creature that will take over the fields of North Branch. Our forest preschoolers are going to be involved. Our after-school program will be involved. Staff will be involved. And then there's community build days that are going to wrap up with a big community potluck and celebration when the creature is done. And then the creature just decays in place and becomes bird and animal habitat. So we're very excited to welcome Justin. This is certainly a skill set and way of interacting with the natural world that is beyond what our current staff does. So we're all abuzz about this third coming soon rendition of the Teacher-Naturalist program. Go ahead to the next one, Brittany. So some successes and challenges of this program. Of course, when you start a new program, you get both of these. So to start with the successes, we have had two really good runs. Both Noelani Jones and Dr. Opeyemi Parham were just great ways to start. They were both really comfortable in the facilitation and teacher role, which was really important. And we brought in two really diverse voices that represented those gaps on our staff. So it felt like it was really successful in that regard. Both of those programs were really well integrated into our already existing program. So there were adults involved, there were forest preschoolers involved, there were after-school kids involved, there were workshops, there were talks. It just felt like it hit all of those various audiences that we already work with really, really well. It felt like it was very easy to integrate them into our programs for a week, which was part of the goal. And then something that really stands out about both of them is that they offered a really wonderful staff sessions. So Noelani Jones did an entire afternoon workshop on eco-printing for staff. And it was just us and Noelani, and it was just wonderful to get to do that, to create that kind of art, nature-based art with staff. And I think part of the reason that staff have incorporated that work into their own practice now is because they had that alone time with Noelani to really understand how this could be incorporated into their own work. And then similarly with Dr. Opeyemi Parham, we had a wonderful staff discussion about basically bringing to life the voices of BIPOC folks in Vermont in outdoor settings and understanding what is it like to be outdoors, whether you're hiking here at the nature center or elsewhere, or you're paddling or you're skiing or you're just out for a walk with your dog. What is it like, and what are the stories? And some of that information is sometimes hard to access as a group of mostly white staff members. So it felt like such a privilege for her to bring that to staff, and then to have a conversation about what that means and what that means for us and what that means more broadly in Vermont, and to understand how that impacts BIPOC Vermonters' connection to the natural world and their health and well-being. It was a really wonderful conversation to be part of, and something that really only felt possible because it was in this sort of umbrella program of Visiting Teacher-Naturalists. There was a really good space for it. In terms of challenges, the timing is a little bit hard. We run programs all year round. There's a lot going on at the Nature Center. When we don't have forest preschool, we have summer camp. When we don't have our public school programs, we have all of our adult programs. Like, when do you fit this in? And how often, what is the right timing? How often can we do this? So we actually took a break this past spring and kind of regrouped a little bit to figure out what is the right frequency, and how can we do this, and how can we make sure that the timing is working well, and that we're setting the pace so that it's feeling well integrated. So that's tricky. New is also hard, right? Anytime you try something new, it can feel a little bit other and not yet. Like, there's the new stuff and there's the stuff we regularly do. And so now that we're having a third visiting teacher naturalist, I'm really hoping that that feeling of newness starts to fade. But new is always tricky, and it brings excitement, but of course it brings challenges too. So we've just had to acknowledge that we don't have a lot of muscle memory around how we do this program. And then a final thing that I'll share about a challenge is just that we are not a drop-in location, really. We're based in Montpelier, which is it is the capital of Vermont, but it's small. We only have a population of like 9,000, and then very rural towns around here. So while people do come here to the Nature Center regularly to go for a walk or come for a program, we don't have, like a nature museum. We don't have a lot of indoor stuff. Everything we do is outdoors. And so we're not really a drop-in location that tourists or families, whatever, just happen by. So as we are designing the public facing portions of the Visiting Teacher-Naturalist program, we've had to think really carefully about that. Not that many people came to Noelani's open studio because we're not much of a drop-in location, but people were really excited to sign up for a Saturday morning workshop with them and learn weaving in a more focused way. So we're learning how to fit this type of a program with the type of nature center that we are. And that has brought some challenge, but has also, I think, helped us match the program to our strategic goals and sort of the feel of the nature center. I'm sure that as we welcome our third visiting teacher naturalist, my list of successes and challenges will grow, but that's really where we are now. And yeah, I think I'll just wrap up by saying that this program is so worth the challenges, and it's also worth the successes feeling incremental. This is not something that is going to change the nature of our work or the way our community feels overnight. But it does feel like it is, well, it's that idea of expanding community is what I'll come back to, that it really does feel like it can incrementally open the door, and I think is one of the ways in which we hope to be able to right some of the wrongs of the past, and to really make nature connection possible for everyone, exciting for everyone, full of joy and education and learning and connection for everyone. And so I feel really proud of it. I'm so glad that you all were interested in asking about it. And yeah, that's what I've got for now. I'm so happy to answer questions at any level, like big or really practical. So thank you.
Yeah, gosh, no, thank you so much. It's amazing to learn just about the mission of this program and the good that it's doing, and how we can maybe implement some of that here. I'm gonna stop the recording real quick right now, and then we'll move into like more questions and discussions. So let me find the button. Stop.